this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. So let's get started. It's using Bottled Happiness, which is coming up in the new annual catalog. I attended an onstage and received this. They were one of 4 stamp sets, and I received this one. Okay, I'm going to be using a scrap of white. This is 3.5 by 3.5 inch piece of vellum. I have a 2 by 4 inch piece of white, a 2.25 by 4.25 inch piece of Night of Navy, a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of white, a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of Night of Navy, my card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and that's the thick. And I'm going to be using this mask. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. And that is found in the January through June mini catalog on page 86, Butterflies and Flowers Layering Decorative Masks. I'm going to be using this die here, which is from Painted Labels dies, and this die is the third from the smallest of the layered circles. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let's move these aside because we don't need these yet right at the moment. Only ink I'm using is Night of Navy. Let's move this out of the way for a minute. Just going to place this down on here. Well, you could tape it down if you wanted. I didn't, but I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy ink. I'm going to bring in one of our blending brushes. I'm going to just get some ink on my blending brush. I'm going to hold this down, and I'm just going to put some ink right on top of the, they call it a mask, I call it a stencil. You just want to make sure that it doesn't move. If you want to tape it down, that's probably smart. Hey, Bet, go on. Please go on. Go play. Go on. Go play. He's very curious. He needs to see what I'm doing all the time. Okay, I'm going to switch sides here. You can do swirlies or whatever works the best for you. Okay, I'm going to take that off, and that's what I end up with. Okay, let me just wipe this table off a minute. This will just get washed with a little bit of water under my sink. Won't put that away yet, but a little bit of the Stampin' Mist. Hand sanitizer works great too. Okay. And now we're going to go on to our other stamping pieces. Bit, you can't be up here right now, buddy. Well, I love you to pieces, but you gotta go on. Okay, let's bring in this piece and our sentiment. We're going to stamp our sentiment. You don't need a piece this big, you just need it big enough to cut out that circle. I'm sure there isn't any hair on it. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to bring in this piece here. We're going to bring in our little pot. And down towards the bottom, we're going to be stamping this. It's maybe a 1/4 inch from the bottom. Well, that didn't stamp very well. I'm going to clean my stamp and start again. Had some ink where I didn't really want it. Let's turn this over, try it again. Now it's got good inking. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this one. And I stamped one going over this way. With the bottom of the branches just barely sticking out of the pot. I stamped another one real high with just the stem barely in the pot. And then I stamped one more over here, kind of in between. You just want to make sure that stem stays in that vase. If it's going to protrude out, mask it. Put a piece of Post-it tape over it, or Post-it note or something. Okay. That's all the stamping, so we can put the ink away. I am going to bring in my Winkostella, and I'm going to wink up this vase. Now this is going to pick up a little bit of the ink, so I'm going to do the light areas first, so they're still light and highlighted. And I'm just going to go in and wink the rest of it. This just adds a little bit of a shimmer to it. If you didn't get perfect stamping, it helps to blend it. Okay, there's that. Okay, now let's put this aside. We can bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Let's open this up. I've got plate 1 that comes with it, and 2 plate 2s. I'm going to put my cutting plate, the one that I cut into, down first. Turn it over. Yep, okay. I was pushing on it. If it has any give, then I turn it over. That way it keeps them from warping a little bit longer. I've got this 3.5-inch piece of vellum, this die here, and I'm going to bring in this piece, and I need this to be thinner. Just cutting it so that it'll fit on my plate. Center that up in there. Let's put this top plate on and run that through. There we go. Okay, I know this one's cut through, so let's get this one out of the way. Make sure this one's cut all the way through. Oh, it definitely is. I think there's a couple spots that aren't, and that's just because I've used it quite a lot. So I'm going to turn it a little bit, put the other plate back on, and run it through again. Okay, now those pieces are all falling out. Okay, run my fingernail around that stitched edge so it pops out. There we go, perfect. Okay, these out of the way. And we can assemble this card. It's a very easy one. Okay, bring in my wet glue. I should have probably got a new one out because all of them are almost out of glue. Put some glue on the back of this one. And this one is 2 by 4. It's going to go on my 2 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Night of Navy. Turn this over, and I'm going to turn over the sentiment one, and I'm going to bring in some dimensionals. Okay, this one here I'm going to take the backs off of. And this is going to go centered on the center of this vellum piece. Actually, no, I'm not putting that on there yet because this goes behind this and this goes on top of it. Okay, sorry about that. Let's move this out of the way. Let's bring in this piece and the piece that we stenciled. This one gets adhered, and this was 4 by 5 1/4, and the navy was 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It's just a little border around. Perfect. This will go directly on the front of the card. Now this card was one that I did as my virtual swap for the onstage event that I attended. They wanted us to do virtual swaps with the stamp set that we got. because it was a virtual event. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this piece in. I'm going to set it down where I want it. I'm going to bring this piece and I'm going to attach that to it. I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind this. Okay, just where, behind where this, so it doesn't show. Okay, go ahead and adhere that whole thing down. Put my sentiment right over the top. Then I'm going to come in with some basic rhinestones. Oops. Oops, this is a new pack. And there's some in here. There they are. And I take your pick tool, which has disappeared from my desk. There it is. And I'm just using the little ones. Putting a couple over here. And one up here. There you go, that's my card. Oh, I forgot the bow. I'd made a little bow out of the crinkled seam binding, and I put that down here at the bottom. I'm just going to adhere that with the glue dot. Just under the pot. There we go, there's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.